Welcome back to Kabiga's Reviews. Today we're looking at Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, the 2021 Marvel film directed by Destin Daniel Cretton and starring Simu Liu, Awkwafina, Menga Zhang, Tony Leung, Benedict Wong and Michelle Yeoh, among others. Happily living in San Francisco, working as a valet with his best friend Katy, Shang-Chi receives a cryptic postcard from his sister, who he hasn't seen in a decade. Now the martial arts master must face his father and confront the past he thought he left behind when he is drawn into the web of the mysterious Ten Rings organization. So Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. What a film. Thoroughly enjoyed it. And for me, my own personal opinion, much better than Black Widow. That's not to say Black Widow is a bad film or not undeserved or anything like that, but I feel Black Widow filled a gap. It filled what should have been done years ago, and it sits in the middle of an existing storyline. Doesn't really further the story arcs of the MCU as a whole, just kind of fills in. You know, and it's not that it was undeserved. I mean, Black Widow certainly deserved her own film, and that is a great film with some really good set pieces in, some fantastic humour, some great acting, some great interesting characters. So Black Widow is not a bad film, not by any stretch of the imagination, but Shang-Chi is just different, and it actually builds and adds to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So that's what I mean by that comment. So basically, we come in on the heels of Iron Man 3 and All Hail the King. And if you remember those films, they featured the Mandarin and the Ten Rings. In fact, the Ten Rings are the terrorist organization that kidnapped Tony Stark right at the very beginning of the very first Iron Man movie. So these people, this organization has been seeded and has been within the MCU since day one. Alright? Even if you look at Iron Man 2, Ivan actually gets his passport to travel to Monaco from a member of the Ten Rings. So, you know, they are there all the way through. Now, this is about Shang-Chi. He's a young boy and he is growing up in, is it China? I would say China. But China looks fantastic in this movie, by the way. And his dad is the head of the Ten Rings, and he's had these Ten Rings for thousands of years until he meets, you know, a woman, and he falls in love rather predictably, and he gives up his status and his thirst and his drive for power in order to raise a family because he finally finds something worth living for. I know, a bit cliched, but this is a Disney, so it's almost paint by numbers. You know, you can predict certain story beats and character arcs. But that's okay, because the more movies you watch, the more you see these tropes and these, shall we say, story standards all over the place. But that's not the point. The point is the adventure that you go on from getting from A to B. You know, you meet interesting people, and life's an adventure as well. So it's all about the people you meet, the things you do, and the adventure you go on. It's the journey, not necessarily the destination. That's a bit cliched, but it is very true. So anyway, Shang-Chi is living in America, he's living in San Francisco, and he gets a message, and he gets attacked, and he ends up having to go back to his ancestral home in China to actually fight his father and reclaim his freedom and protect his sister. And you know, it's quite a basic story, really. But I tell you what, the action set pieces are second to none. They just reminded me of any Jackie Chan movie. If that will give you a vibe of what happens in this film. There is a particular scene, and it's not a spoiler because it's in the trailer, where there is a fight scene on some scaffolding outside a building, and this scaffolding is made of bamboo, which just reminded me of Rush Hour starring Jackie Chan. And it was frenetic, it was perilous, and the way the camera angles pointed down, I got a sense of vertigo watching it. And I only watched it in a 2D standard showing, so if you see it in IMAX or 3D, good luck with that, because it was brilliant. You know, I had a sense, as I say, and mine was just 2D, so yeah, brilliant. I'd imagine that would be absolutely fantastic to see. The pacing of this film is really good. There's at no point, it's over 2 hours long, but at no point does it feel like it's dragging. The performances, particularly Awkwafina, she has got some real great comedic timing, but that's not a surprise because I enjoyed her in Jumanji. You know, she was really good in that, and it proved in that, as in this, that she can hold her own in any movie. You know, she's really, really good. So back to the story. Eventually, when we get to China, it reminded me, the cinematography was stunning. It just reminded me of Memoirs of a Geisha, which is another one of my favourite movies, because it just looks so lush, it looks so beautiful. And the, you know, martial arts in this movie is just sublime to watch. It really is good fun. You know, it's not just like, it's almost like The Matrix, where they're moving really fast without moving really fast. You know, it's brilliant, and I love the oriental nature of it, and it's so nice to have an Asian character, an Asian story set in Asia. And the language they actually speak, I'm not going to try and say what it is, because I'm not sure if it's Mandarin or it's Chinese, or if it's, you know, I'm not sure what the language is that they're actually speaking, but it's great that they've got that, because it gives it a sense of authenticity when you're watching it and when you're meeting these characters and listening to them interacting with each other, because it gives you a sense of normality, and it's just natural, because that's where they are. They're in the Orient, they're in Asia. So it's really, really entertaining. I'm going to score this movie Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. Keep your eye out for cameos, for surprise appearances from characters that we've not seen for a while, and there are 2 post-credit scenes. So if you are a true Marvel fan, stay right to the end, because it does set up the future of the MCU. I'm not going to spoil it, so I'm not going to say anything. I was just going to say that I'm not sure if it sets up future movies or future TV series on Disney Plus. I don't know, but you'll have to see potentially where that goes. So overall, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, a really, really entertaining, raucous ride, and thoroughly enjoyable martial arts oriental film. It's an Asian film, and our very first Asian superhero to join the MCU. Okay, so Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, I'm going to score this as 9 out of 10, and I'm going to tell you guys, go and watch it. Thanks for watching. If you liked what you saw, drop us a like and subscribe to see all future content.